Welcome. This session is called the 5-minute tax return. In it, we'll just navigate through a very basic tax return in the software, showing you some of the different time-saving mechanisms and kind of just give you an idea of the workflow through the tax return so you're familiar with that and can work it yourself. So before we actually jump in and start a new return, I'll point out that some of the time-saving features are things you'll want to set up ahead of time. So we've recorded separate sessions you can go view separately with regards to setting up your EFIN information for your EF originator piece. Very important to load that in so you have to type that in every time. Similar paid preparers, another section that you want to set up ahead of time so your prepare information is already preloaded into the tax return. And then we'll also be leveraging some of the different databases that the software kind of builds as you start preparing returns or as you pro forma returns, things like the EIN database, care provider database, referral database. You'll see DONI, BankUp, RTNs, and occupations as well. So these are things that the software, again, builds these databases as you're preparing returns or actually brings those in from your pro forma as well. So very important you set those up. And again, we've recorded separate sessions on some of the different setup for these things. So you're more than welcome to go view those yourself at your convenience. But let's go ahead and start a new tax return here, and we'll get this off and running. So we're off and running this way, and we'll just jump in. And again, I can come down to my choices at the bottom to pull out occupations, but one of the things the software will do is you start to key things in, it'll look for what it may know already for that information. So I'm going to use that as one of the shortcuts I use frequently in the software to get information in. And I'll use my cell phone number in case I want to use texting in the software to communicate with my taxpayer later on, my email address. And then I'm going to hit text messaging. And again, I can go down to my carrier information and hit that, or I can just hit the first letter of who they tell me, and that information will get pulled up. And again, by entering that texting information, I can come up here and hit the send text button, and that'll send a text. So I've done my setup here. It'll send a text to my taxpayer right away to their cell phone number. So let's go and type in the driver's license number here. This is a new thing for the IRS this year as a requirement. Enter my expiration date and my issue date. I'll work through that. Filing status, again, the tips are at the bottom here. I'm going to go 4 for head of household. Jump right down. It's going to take me right to my zip code. So again, I can navigate through this return very quickly. If I want to track referrals, I can go back and report on things later. Maybe this was a radio ad on ABC Radio, so I can come down. Do I want to purchase Call a Doctor Plus? I will not, as an ancillary service. I'm going to indicate they've got employer coverage for their health insurance. And then I come down basically here, and I can type in the first name. You'll notice that if I type the first letter of the last name, it's going to then assume what the last name is. Not before that, but just one letter helps me kind of work through that very quickly. I think it figures out the age for me. Again, the first letter knows daughter, and the same thing will be S. It'll son, stepdaughter, etc. So you can very quickly work through that. The software automatically calculates EIC and child tax credit. I'm now going to indicate there's a 2441 involved, and we'll have one more child here that we will enter. And again, I'm going to type in the first letter. I'm going to say S for son. Again, 12 months lived with me. So once I've gotten back that, I can hit refresh, and you're going to see the 2441 come. But now I can go ahead and enter my W-2. And again, this is another place where if you have people coming from the same employer, and I've typed them before, the software, as you'll notice, is going to start looking for that number in the database. So it remembers it, and again, allows me to very quickly walk through this return that way. So I've calculated that. I can hit refresh, and you'll notice I've got refund and AGI information already. I can jump over to the 2441. And again, this is another place where I can click on choices to pull up my list if I want to, or I can just start to type. And again, Seattle kids, maybe I've had kids from that care provider already. I hit tab, and again, all that information fills out for me automatically, which is a huge time saver. And come down and just enter the specific information for each of the children. And now I'm off to my 8879, and I can indicate what my type of refund is. There's a RT product. And again, by hitting refresh, that's going to load the bank app very easily here. So I can come up and indicate that the taxpayer will be signing the bank app. I'm not going to prepare a state rack on this one. I can come down and indicate the citizenship status. And then the information, again, choices. If I know it's a driver's license, I can hit D to kind of skip through that very quickly. Type in the information. This, again, is the one specific to the bank, not the one that's going to the IRS in that case, Washington. I'll put in my expiration date here. And I've examined the documents. Now, if this was a pre-fund product for the advance, I would enter that information here. For now, we're going to go up and actually verify this return. Now, I know that I haven't completed all the questions on the 8067, but I'm going to show you why I've done that, because actually I find it faster to go through and answer those questions during the verification of the return review process. So the first piece here is just telling me that you get to print and sign the bank documents before you print the final tax return, which I'm aware of. I'm going to jump down to the next one and actually start answering my due diligence questions. You'll notice by doing that, it actually takes me right to the questions I need to answer. So I can hit X, enter, and then enter again for the next one. And it takes me to line 10 for the first child. And I hit enter, and it goes right back. So this allows me to navigate, and it actually takes me to the field that is the qualifying answer, but still requires me to answer it. So I'm handling my due diligence requirements, but doing so in a very expedited fashion here. So again, I'm walking down. You'll notice it just takes me to all the due diligence requirement things that I have not answered with the other information in the return. I've got 2 more to answer here, and then the last one is going to be my child care records. I'm going to indicate my residency of the qualifying children. And now really all that's left in this case, verify, is going to be to print the bank documents. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go up to print, bank documents. And again, I've got my printer set up to print that. I'm going to go at print and let that information load up, and I'll print and have the taxpayer sign that very easily. And I'll let my printer catch up here for half a second, and it goes away. Now if I click on verify, I hit Control-T, and that return is ready to be transmitted or printed in this case. I'm going to cancel out my printing here. I click on OK, and I can hit print if I want to do the final tax return as well. I come to hit print there. Same thing, if I wanted to use my signature pad, I would have come up and obviously hit print on either one of those. I can hit sign doc to use the signature pad. But now I'm done, I can actually hit Control-T, and I can actually verify that return. I'm now queued it up for the federal. There's a rack involved here. I'm going to hit Q, and now I'm done with that. It takes me out of the return, you'll notice, back to the work in progress screen. And now if I go to transmit, and I go to my filter, it's going to tell me there's Eric Lynch's return, $8,000 refund. I don't have my billing schedule attached to it. Would it tell me if there were fees attached to it? So I'm ready to go there, and I'm okay. The next time I hit on transmit, that return is off to the IRS. If for any reason I need to take a payment on that return, I can go into the return itself or just type in the social. If they're paying me and it's not a bank product, I can enter that there. If I ever need to come back and look at the status of a return, quick. Otherwise, I can give the clients my Versacom card so they can call the toll-free Versacom number to check on the status of the return. But that's basically walking through a return very quickly in about 5 minutes. And we thank you for watching. If you have questions, you can always call customer service for assistance. Customer services number is 206-209-2653. Again, customer service 206-209-2653. Thank you very much.